agree. Go back to the next page. All right, so, couple of things I want to make sure you may be aware of in the automotive safety arena. And I think that you need to be talking to it to kind of justify changing something that has worked for 30 years. The first thing you should be aware of is that Ford has already done a seatbelt redesign.
We are aware of
With the inflatable seatbelts.
Yes,
Okay.
and I can give you a couple of reasons why that.
Well, it doesn't matter,
Okay.
for
We
the,
have them
it
offhand.
needs to be talked about.
Not in this presentation, but we plan to have it in our final.
Right,
Good.
we were told this was supposed to be shortened, so we cut it out.
I
Right.
got it.
So it's competitors in general, you would say?
Yes, and they're really the only one that I'm familiar with today. And obviously, airbags have also changed the frontal crash injury statistics because of, addition to the seatbelts. I will tell you that I'm a prime example of what you're talking about with the seatbelt. I had a serious accident 26 years ago, and I was wearing a seatbelt, and the car was literally totaled. And had I not been wearing the seatbelt, I would have been dead. Wearing the seatbelt, I have about a half hour, I don't remember, was taken to the emergency room and told I didn't break anything, and spent the next 6 months healing from a purple welt, literally from here across, and it was not fun. But the seatbelt did what it was supposed to do. There are other safety initiatives in the automotive industry that you should be talking to, such as active cruise control, blind spot monitoring. I can go through a litany but you really need to make sure that you're talking about all of the innovations, because one of the problems with being with a new idea is everyone says, well, we've always done it this way, right? Why do it this way? What's the additional, how do you translate this new belt design to potential revenue, because we're adding cost? And anytime you add cost to anything that they've been doing and meets the federal standards all these years, you need to kind of go that
Right.
direction.
Well,
Okay.
the additional cost would only be the addition of the elastomer, because this is still the traditional nylon seatbelt material. It would be that and the stitching and the process to do that. We estimated that at about, what was it, $15?
$15 per unit.
Extra.
So per
Extra.
car.
But $15 per unit in a car environment translates to about $200 at retail.
Okay.
So, which is interesting too, because the inflatable seatbelts in a Ford are about $200. So obviously those inflatable seatbelts have a similar cost. So what I would do is I would look at the inflatable seatbelts, and I would try to get some data, crash data, on how the inflatable seatbelts help and how yours can help as well, all right? And kind of go from that direction.
We didn't include that in here, but we do have data not on Ford, but we have it on a particular car model that we looked up through the NHTSA site, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to replicate that graph of the impulse or the
Force over time.
force over time
For
curve.
experienced by the passenger on the chest.
Which I guess in the technical data you would express in pounds per square feet. How would you express that in terms of comparing it?
Well, what we're doing right now is we're matching the momentum of that, which is essentially a chart which is force on the left, on this left axis, and then on the bottom axis is time, and then it shows a sharp jump that goes way up and then comes down. I apologize for not having it.
Forces
No,
Forces in newtons?
Newtons or
Yes.
pounds per square feet? How
The
would
force
you
is
do it?
in newtons, yes.
Okay.
Forces in newtons, but the pounds per square feet or square inch.
Square inch.
It would vary. That would vary depending on the wear of the seatbelt and how much seatbelt there was. Obviously, I would be wearing more seatbelt than this guy,
Right.
and him more than her. So the newtons would travel. Just do a simple math calculation about the area, surface area contact.
Understood. I think it's important because newtons is a great term or a great specification if you're a physics guy. If you're an average layperson, newtons mean absolutely nothing.
Well,
Think figs.
what we could do is we could express it in G-forces, which
Okay.
would be a lot more relatable, because
Right.
that would say, you know, you could relate it to, have you ever been on King Dakar or this roller coaster, and then compare the data between that.
That's assuming you have a New Jersey, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's true.
Have you been on a roller coaster?
Or everybody's under 60.
Okay. All right, so those are
That's
my
another
those
thing,
are
and
my
the
initial
judges.
questions
Okay.
on the design.
Yeah.
Go forward a little bit, let me remind. Licensing,
Sure.
okay, so the American manufacturers, obviously, you know who they are.
Mhm.
The foreign manufacturers, these decisions are made in Japan or England or India or China. Some of the cars that you consider luxury that might be are companies like Jaguar and Land Rover, which are owned by Tata in India. Volvo, which is now owned
Right.
in China.
They own a ton of.
They own a ton of
Auto
patents on
companies.
this stuff. Saab unfortunately is gone, they would have been perfect for this. You had mentioned Subaru. Subaru is now a subsidiary of Toyota, all right? But it may be an interesting spot to begin, because if you're not aware, the US headquarters is 10 minutes from here.
And we have an alumnus.
They're in Cherry Hill, Morristown. That's Subaru America. And if you have an alumnus,
We can put a name on paper and email and let you know.
That would be very, very
Wow,
helpful.
that would
We're
be
not
wonderful.
anywhere certain where to start.
well, you gotta start
The Rowan
somewhere.
alumnus at Mercedes-Benz USA, which is also
Right.
headquartered in New Jersey.
Yeah, they're
It's
up
at
in
Buller,
Montvale.
Colin Buller,
Mercedes is
and
in Montvale, and BMW is up there somewhere.
Yeah, but we felt that this was the best way to do it. I know it sounds kind of crazy to market for a commitment fee, but I figured that that would actually be better, because then we're focusing in on one group and sealing that deal, and then once other companies see that they're doing it, they're gonna wanna get a piece of the action.
6 months may be too short for $500,000. So, and because the planning and production cycle in the automotive industry
2 years,
is
3.
probably at least 3 to 5 years. So basically, if you look at a vehicle today that's been on the market 3 years or so, you're probably guaranteed that there will be a replacement or a serious change within the next 2 to 3 years. So that 6 months is way too short, and your profitability, when you get to the next slide, is based on the fact that that may be, now keep going, go one more. This, if you were able to secure a license and get them to pay you $500,000 by October, I would be extremely surprised. If you were able to do that, you guys would be in demand by about 500 corporations trying to break into the auto industry. It's probably, and I hate to be a killjoy.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
But the chances of you getting that first license and getting that 500,000 within the first 18 months would be good.
Another route to go in that way is to do things like STTR programs and get government departments. So, for example, the Defence Department might say, why don't we put this in our Hummers against IED defence or something like that,
Right,
and they would
right.
then partner with you to
Yeah,
develop
and it's
it.
not limited to one form of transportation. I mean, seatbelts are used in anything from airplanes to cars. to
School
trains,
buses.
to-
So the Air Force, the Navy would do.
to just about anything. So the
Yeah.
opportunity is pretty much
The
limitless.
amusement ride business on King Dakar.
Right. Yeah, that's another
I think
option.
you want to feel that force, though.
No, I don't,
Yeah.
because I stood there and watched it. The going up part, I
Oh,
don't
it's pretty
mind.
fun.
That's
I
when
found
it
it.
crests the top and you're looking down at the ground.
Yeah.
No way.
It's a market we need to find.
Yeah, but I think you need to be a little bit more conservative in your break even. Here's the way I've always done things. I'm doing pro formas and break evens and everything else. Is I tend to be cautious on the timing and the amount. All right. So I under forecast and then hopefully overproduce, because what will make you look good is if you make this break even October of 14 or something along those lines, and you get somebody earlier, you guys look golden on paper to investors, okay? So, under forecast, over deliver is always the way to go, and that's the same comment I would make to anybody. You're better off being conservative and being able to do early. You watch TV, you watch the stock market when the earnings come in, and you see, that they say they're gonna, have earnings of 26 cents per share, and they produce 30, and everybody goes ballistic and bombs. But the guy who forecasted 26 and hit 24, they all sell. Now, it's not that they did terribly, it's you're always better off under-predicting and over-delivering.
Right.
Okay? All right, let's go back to the financials. Okay, I can tell you right now that your insurance is way, way, way low. You're building a
Alright.
product with extensive liability, licensing it, and even though you're not the actual manufacturer, you license it to somebody, you get a litigious lawyer. He's coming after anybody who has their name on it. Doesn't matter who, where, what, okay? And I like the fact that you said you were incorporating as a C corporation. Did I catch that? Because that's important too.
Yeah,
in
we were
terms of-
told not to do an LLC by Dr. Bird because it's you have more
Personal
protection,
liability, yes.
So none of the investors can go after you.
Correct. So you were advised correctly. Web presence, I'm questioning because it's not a B2C sale.
Right.
The manufacturer who buys this will do,
Well, we figured that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we figured that if we could get customers to become interested in it, that perhaps, it might,
how are they gonna convey that?
I don't know.
Because when you have an interface with a car, your interface is with a dealer.
Right.
Most people don't have any idea how to get in touch with the manufacturer, certainly not to say, I want this new technology.
This is really direct sales.
Correct, but the car company is the one who will be advertising. The reason I know about the Ford seatbelt,
Right.
all right, is that I just ordered a brand new Ford Flex yesterday. And I
Okay.
did not take the seatbelts, but they were an option.
With your history, why?
Because it was an oddball thing. What can I tell you? But I did not.
I agree with your.
And also.
Let's
and
take up
also-
a collection and get Larry some
No,
seatbelts.
but also, you have to remember that everything you drive has 822 airbags in it today.
Right.
That didn't have it in 1985.
Right, and he's offering the beta test.
Ah, yes, thank you. Offering the base, but everything has airbags and, all the rest. Anyway, but it was offered, and it's marketed in the brochure from Ford. Now, I have no idea who's making it or who invented the technology, nor as a consumer buying or leasing a new vehicle, do I care. Now, if I was doing maybe more highway traveling with the family, and maybe if my kids weren't 16 and 22, all right, that can properly fit in a regular seatbelt, it might have been more attractive.
Right.
But I wouldn't have gotten it if I had seen an ad on TV or on the internet. It wouldn't have made any difference. So I'm not sure that that's money
Okay.
well spent,
Okay.
okay? Just, thinking about it.
The advertising for opening too, if you're planning to actually exhibit at trade shows, that's way too low.
We have,
$10,000.
in whatever is the pro forma, we have an advertising slot, where we add another 10,000 every month for the initial 6 months.
Oh, okay.
It's not,
These
it's
are
not
the-
there.
These, yeah.
So 47,000 isn't your total advertising for
For
2013?
2013. Yes.
But it goes way down in 14. Well, that,
Yeah.
it just needs to be changed.
Assuming that we get our name out there, with these numbers at the very least, I feel the advertising would go down in cost, because you don't want to be wasting our time going to trade shows and such, because we already have a license, we already have our product out there.
Okay, and what shows were you considering? Things like
Just the-
SEMA?
Not entirely sure what they're called, but the ones on the,
Yeah, we have a list
East
of them, I
Coast,
can't
yeah.
tell you off the top of
we
my
actually,
head.
we missed
Yeah.
everything
Yeah,
already.
of course you did.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
2014 will,
Well, the big automotive, well, see, here's the dilemma, because the automotive aftermarket business and the license to the manufacturer business are extremely different. Because if you look at it as a consumer product, this was something that consumers could buy and install, you would go to SEMA. SEMA is the big automotive aftermarket, car stereos, wheels, paint, all that other stuff. I'm not sure where you go on something like this.
Detroit has an auto show.
Yeah, but again, it's not direct to
Yeah,
consumer.
I think you need to go directly to each, to select car manufacturers,
And that was-
find the right unit that
Right.
is in charge of these installations
Right,
and,
right.
No, I disagree, it's not the
No?
direct car
Okay,
manufacturers.
go.
It's it's the second tier, the first tier and the second tiers that are producing the seats for the car manufacturers.
Right.
Did not recognize you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I shaved the beard.
No, because when they addressed this, is they identified who the manufacturers were, but their theory is that until one of the car companies says, I want this, the secondary manufacturer who they eventually sell the license to isn't gonna want it.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have access to the car manufacturers. The car manufacturers only wanna deal with the tier 1, tier 2s.
Okay, go back to that tier one guy.